chat log. Oh, streaming. Yeah, should be good. See the chat log here.
Can do this too.
All right. I should be able to do that. I need to be able to see the chat log. Oh, I guess it's okay. See the chat log here. It's nice having a partner when I do these, because like sometimes if I don't have a partner, I'm just like sitting here, just like waiting, awkwardly staring at the camera for people to join. Hey, what's up, Pyro Bassman? It's nice. Kind of like it's useful to like announce that I'm gonna do these, but yo, what's up, Jasper? Just like but it's kind of like it's so taxing to have to schedule it, so it's easier to just do it off the fly. Like if I had been like, oh, I gotta do it at 4 o'clock. Hey, what's up, Pyro Bassman?
Yeah, it's much easier.
I can't make it to Philly on this trip, but I think I'm gonna come back to the U.S. in like 2 or 3 months, and I was thinking about doing yo, what's up, Jasper? One weekend in like the new northeast area, and then like one weekend in the southeast area, and maybe one on the west coast. So if you want to see me in Philly, that's probably a good time.
Yeah, it's much easier.
Greetings from Chile. I can't make it to Philly on this trip. Greetings from Kentucky. But I think I'm gonna come back to the U.S. in like 2 or 3 months, and I was thinking about doing one weekend in like the new northeast area, and then like one weekend in the southeast area, and maybe one on the west coast. So if you want to see me in Philly, that's probably a good time. Greetings from Chile. Hey, Amber. Greetings from Kentucky.
Kentucky sounds so much less
No problem, Sylvia is happy to help with the content. Is your rib hurt, Jasper? Let me know if you guys have any questions. Can be technical, can be conceptual stuff. I still can't say questions about Kentucky. Why VJJ? Oh, that's a big question. I don't know. I started in high school because I saw Hoist Gracie, beating up. Wait, what's up, Jasper? No problem. Because I saw Hoist Gracie in the early UFCs beating up. Let me know if you guys have any questions. And I kind of like the idea of using your brain to like outwit people who are bigger and stronger than you. Questions about Kentucky. Why VJJ into it? And before that, I really like strategy games. I don't know. I started in high school because I saw Hoist Gracie, beating up. How's the audio, guys? By the way. What's up, Jasper? Because I saw Hoist Gracie in the early UFCs beating up people. And I kind of like the idea of using your brain to like outwit people who are bigger and stronger than you. So I guess that kind of is what led me into it. And before that, I really like strategy games and things like that. Huh. The mic a lot quicker. How's the audio, guys? By the way. Audio. Okay. There's an echo.
Is the mic receiving on that?
Should be. Let me check. Mic and delay. Let me see what's up with the audio. It was working a second ago. You hear the audio twice, so I can't hear you. Huh.
Twice.
Your either audio. Okay. There's an echo. 4K.
Is the mic receiving on that?
Should be. Yeah. Let me check. You know what? Let me see what's up with the audio. It was working a second ago. Maybe I have 2 mics on. Sorry, guys. 1 second.
Yeah, it seems like you must.
Camlink 4K. Is that any better? You know what? I bet it's.
The computers?
Maybe I have 2 mics on. Sorry, guys. 1 second. So this one.
Seems like you must.
Is that any better? Oh, I think I had 2 going. That's the Sony, so this one, we want to turn that mic off. All right, guys, is the audio any better now? Nope. Give it 1 second. I think I fixed it now. Perhaps not. I guess I can just try using the laptop audio.
But if you just turned off the other mic, that should have killed the echo.
Beej said the audio is good now.
Okay.
So Beej is saying the audio is good now. Is that the case, Jesper? Or are you still having the... No. Okay. All right, let me see if I can just switch it to the laptop audio. It'll probably be less good quality, but I'll see what I can do. It's not synced. Delay like 15 seconds. Is that any better?
That makes sense if it was from this.
No echo. Lots of delay. Yeah. Computer. All right, how is the but not synced? Right, so yes. Now I'm using the mic from no echo, but not synced. Okay, that maybe my internet's just really bad here. Is that any better? Okay, so is it still like not synced? No echo. Lots of delay. It's fixed. Okay, cool. All right, yeah, I was trying to use the audio from the Sony camera, but it was last second fixed. Okay, cool. So the audio is okay though, because I'm just using the laptop computer now. Synced. Okay, maybe my internet's just really bad here. Okay, so is it still like not synced? Okay, it's fixed. Oh. Okay, cool. It must be the audio from the Sony camera, but it was last second fix. Okay, cool. So the audio is okay though, because I'm just using the laptop computer now. Oh, it's good. Luke is back now. God, I don't know. What could it be? God, I hate dealing with like technical difficulties. It is synced or no. A weird one. It must be. Yeah, it must be the okay, or the internet speed or something. That's annoying. Again, how to deal. Man, I'm so sorry, guys. Now it's good. I don't know what this could be. God, I don't know. What could it be? Still echoing. It is synced or no. Maybe that'll fix it. Weird. Yeah, it is at. Okay, or yeah, I don't need this microphone. Yeah, that might fix it actually. How to deal? Yeah, because maybe that was picking something up. I'm so sorry, guys. It was probably like pulling in two audios. Let me. All right, guys, that's my last attempt to be able to fix it. Okay, so yeah, I'll restart the stream, but is it working now? Because I just unplugged something to see if that works. Yeah, I don't need this microphone anymore. Yeah, that might fix it actually. Yeah, maybe that was picking something up. It was probably like pulling in two audios. So there was those two bars. Works, seems good. Okay, so yeah, I'll restart the stream, but is it working now? It's a rough start. Yeah, I think it's good now. Okay, so everyone thinks it's good now, right? Seems okay. Seems better to talk. I'm speaking. What is up? Good. Okay. Cool. I think we got it fixed. Yeah, I left like one piece for the microphone that I normally use, so I tried to make it up. I still hear it. Oh my God, now the echo volume is low. Okay. It's fine. But much fainter, but it's a lot quieter. It's still there, but lower. Okay. Well, this is the best we can do for now, or I can use the headset then. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, so you guys want me to try to use the headset, or is this workable? Okay. All right, well, let's just make do with this then. All right, guys. So I'll start answering some questions now. So now let me know whatever questions you guys got. I think there was a few more up in the thing. Oh, God. What? Okay, how to deal with being the lightest person in the gym. I'm 140 pounds and I get tossed around easily in most positions. So Guile or whoever asked the question of being the lightest person in the gym. So I think the main thing there is, yeah, Dad, what's up? Could you just wait? Please. Thanks, Dad. Okay. Yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. Yeah, when you're focusing on being the lightest person in the gym, for sure it's true being light is gonna make it harder. But you really like need to not think about yourself being the lightest, and you need to focus on finding the solutions. Because the reality is like Mikey Musumeci is like 140 pounds, and he beat that Salah Adin guy who is like 300 pounds. He beat Muhammad Ali, or he almost beat Muhammad Ali. So like small people can beat big people. The reality is you have to be much more technical and go really deep. But realistically, if I was giving you advice on how to fight bigger people, it's not like I can try to give you some technical advice, but realistically, the mindset that just you have to forget about size and strength, and you have to tell yourself every time you lose that the only reason you lost is because you're not technical enough. Okay. Even though it is still true that they have an advantage by being bigger, it is possible if you become technical enough to overcome that. And that's really what you need to focus on. Mike used much. I don't know why I'm saying wait. Oh, oh, not that. Yeah.
And he said, "Is that your magician brother?"
Yeah, this is my magician brother. Yeah, and then that was my dad trying to barge in on the live stream. uh, yeah. So, but realistically, all of your problems that you're having fighting someone who's bigger than you, they're manifestations of specific positions. People always think in broad terms, like the guy is bigger than me. But if you really isolate it, like how did he beat you? It was exact positions. Like if you're in closed guard and you have a triangle choke in this exact position, how did he get out? He moved his elbow this way. And strength can help him get out of certain things that maybe he normally wouldn't. But still, you want to look at the exact position that the problem is happening, right? So, for example, if I'm trying to like armbar someone and they're so strong they can like do a bicep curl, maybe in that exact situation, they can curl stronger than my entire body weight if it's like the mountain from Game of Thrones. But I could still identify in that position the armbar is difficult. But on him, a collar choke from the back might work, right? So even though strength is a problem, you need to kind of look beyond the strength and just focus on why are you actually losing, identify the positions and make adjustments. Okay, so next question. Let's see here. Excited for the seminar upstream. Yeah, I'm excited to be back as well. I'm going to cover a lot of matrix, some collar sleeve, and probably some deep lassos. So a lot of new stuff I've been working on, as well as some Berimbolo stuff and crab ride. I loved your magic trick last time, Joe, from Jesper from Sweden.
Thank you.
Joe's going to try to visit this summer when Sweden opens up its borders, so hopefully you can visit then. I'm going to try to do a big camp as well in Sweden coming up. So I know I'm going to have Lucas Galbacera and Facundo from Argentina. I think Connor DeAngelis might come. Probably Espen, maybe Paquito. So I'm going to try to get a few different people to come. So it's going to be a fun trip. What's the optimal way to approach starting rolls if your gym starts from rolls from the knees, ground, assuming there's no space to start from standing? I mean, there's no optimal way. It just depends on what you want to work on. So obviously, it's hard to work your takedowns if they won't let you guys start standing. So I would just be focused on positions, right? Because if you put the guy, I mean, are they allowed to standing pass? Like, I have to imagine that they allow people to stand at your gym. If they don't allow people to stand at your gym, I think you just need to find a new gym. That's ridiculous. What are you looking at?
I'm just reading stuff.
If they allow, no matter how you get there, certain positions are always going to be the same once you get there. So if he starts on his knees or he starts standing, if I put a lasso on and tie him up, and then now we're in collar sleeve lasso, it doesn't matter how we got there. It's the same position. So I would
standing pass is fine.
Yeah. Okay. So then I would just say there's really no optimal way to do that. Just grip fight. Try to set up your positions and play the same. It shouldn't change much. The only difference is that you're going to be a little bit inexperienced when you compete and the person starts standing. So when you compete, I would focus on pulling guard really quick if you have no standing experience. Drew, what advice will you offer someone going into a competition match where they're a huge underdog to the point where entertaining the possibility of winning is ridiculous? Drew, are you referring to fighting Joao Miao at this weekend? I mean, I don't know. I think the big thing is like, it's kind of a good place to be because there's no loss for you, right? Like there's no stress on you. Like if you're going against someone significantly more well-known and more experienced, no one's expecting you to win. So there's no pressure in that sense. So you can kind of relax and have fun with it. I think that's a positive mindset. As well as like try to, this is something that I think I'm so analytical. I always want to solve problems and have answers. But there's something to be said about having confidence in yourself even when you don't have the answers. Because I can prepare for everything competing. And then imagine when the worm guard first came out, no one had ever seen it before, right? People get put in it, but you still have to keep fighting, right? So I think really try to focus on not overstressing having to win and trust your instincts. Your instincts can actually come up with some pretty good things. But don't try to overthink it. Don't focus on the fact I don't know as much as him, because you're right. You're probably not going to know as much as him. But if you trust your instincts, sometimes you can come up with a lot of cool stuff. I know when I was talking to Espen and Tommy when I was in Norway, and I don't want to name names, but like when they visited like a couple big gyms, this is before they were really well known. Tommy rolled with a couple really big names that were like the best guys at the gym, and then he just like like Espen knew who they were, like, oh, that's that guy, but like Tommy didn't even know who they were. He's like, I don't care, and then Tommy would just like submit them, even though those guys may have more training and be more knowledgeable, he had this level of self confidence that helped. So I would focus on that a lot. Um, let's see. Did I miss any? Yeah, I did. I'm gonna try to do the best I can getting all the questions, guys, but they come in pretty quick. When playing guard before I establish any grips, sometimes my quicker training partner steps straight past my guard to my hip line. Sometimes I turn with them and come up for a single leg. Any tips? Yeah, one big thing is in the grip fight. So go up there. Let's turn this a little bit. Okay. So one big thing is in the grip fight. Early on, manage distance. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they're trying to grip fight in jiu-jitsu playing guard is that they just sit like here, like they can just chill here like nothing's going on, okay? You want to almost view it like boxing. So grip fighting can be a little bit tricky to develop because it depends on the guards you know. So I can show you how to set up a certain guard like a collar sleeve with the foot on the hip maybe, but if you don't know how to play this position, it doesn't do you much good. So depending on the grips you have, you're going to set up different things. But one thing that's universally true is you do better when you back up a lot. So if I was here and you got really close, I'd probably keep my distance. And I try to grip fight from a distance. Because if I'm this far away and I mess up and he starts to go around me, when he's this far away, I always have room for my leg to try to come back and fight and do stuff, right? But if I'm here and I just stay like this too long and he makes a quick step like you were talking about, now it's like he's really close. It's a lot harder, right? I think you were talking about the guy takes the right foot and steps here really quick, like a cross step. And now it's way harder to fight, right? But if I'm here, so go back there, and as we're grip fighting, he tries to do that big step. Look how I'm always backing up, and I'm kind of like jabbing with my hand to get a grip. So if I get a sleeve, I could fall back and start building on this. If he hides that, I could go for a collar and then try to fall back. He breaks that. That gives me the sleeve. He pulls that away. I could grab the leg. But I'm always trying to set any grip I can and then build off it. And I'm always backing up as I'm grip fighting. So here I got this. Now I told him to be able to heave up. And now I'm already starting to work here. So I think that'll help a lot. Just make sure you're always backing up, maintaining a lot of distance. You don't want to just stay static as they come at you. Okay, Kobe Flores asked, advice on approaching at-home training. My academy only has jiu-jitsu classes 3 times a week. I have mats at home to train, looking for best practices when training at home. You have a training partner, I'm presuming, Kobe? You don't want to just stay static as they come at you. Okay, Kobe Flores asked, advice on approaching at-home training. My academy only has jiu-jitsu classes. Okay, yeah, so if you have a training partner, it's hard to do like really hard rounds at your house. I mean, it depends on the space you do, but even with one-on-one, it's hard. So I would just have a couple times a week that you do a lot of specific training. My 2 favorite forms of training for like what I would call more technical development is either specific training, which you guys have heard me talk a lot about, or more what Tommy and Espen refer to as resistance drilling, which is basically where we do sweep and pass. So I sweep Joe, my brother. I sweep him and then I pass him, and then it's his turn, and then he sweeps me and he passes me. And we just keep trading doing that. Now, that's really good training because what happens is like if it's Joe's turn to sweep me, so just go back here. So if I come in and it's like and it's his turn to sweep me, then I know, okay, it's his turn to sweep, but I'm still allowed to resist and I can try to pass a little bit, and it kind of relaxes the ego and like the intensity. So now I can start coming in, he starts trying to set up guard, he's going to sweep me, right? And I can be difficult and still try to pass, and he starts fighting, he's actually cool. Yeah, right? So I'm trying to pass and stuff, and then now it's like I'm still fighting, and if he goes for a sweep, I'm still going to defend, but I know I'm not allowed to win, right? In the end, he's going to win. So that gives me the kind of comfort to try to attack. But then whenever he fully gets in on something and knocks me over, I'm like, okay, I'll try to fight it, and then he gets it, that's fine. And then we just kind of trade. And you can kind of escalate the intensity, but it allows both people to try new ideas. It relaxes you on the ego. Maybe normally you don't left leg lead, but if you know you're going to lose anyway, you're like, well, I'll just left leg lead and try to pass a little bit. And it allows you kind of, it's like a better format of light rolling. but it's very realistic when you do it well. So it allows you to develop a lot of patterns. So that's really good for just getting your cardio up, developing your timing in different positions, connecting things. And specific training is really good for developing deep understanding of individual positions. So what I would say is if you have a lot of time for your warm-up, do that resistance drilling stuff, and then kind of pick themes you want to work on for a bit. So maybe do like collar sleeve and get an instructional on collar sleeve, like something I've done, something someone else has done, and kind of review their stuff and then spend a lot of time in that position. But if you almost view it like homework and you just kind of spend time in different positions, over time you'll know what to do with like collar sleeve, double sleeve, collar ankle. There's only so many grips the guy can have. And as you develop more and more and more, your whole game just starts coming together. Yeah, Paul, totally. A lot of people have that issue of being a bit static when they're like setting their grips up. All right. Let's see. Kevin Huang asked, when using specific sparring to develop beginner's open guard, do you restart when the top guy breaks all the grips and disengages, or do you continue to grip fight to regain the guard? So there's no like exact correct answer for that, Kevin. It just depends on what you want to develop. If the person's really new, I would say restart the position, because once you break grips, it becomes a different issue, right? So like, stand up, go. So if I'm, say, doing double sleeve, right? So there's no like exact. If I'm doing double sleeve here, like if I'm teaching a beginner, there's a lot for the guy to learn here. Like it seems simple if you already know it, but like there's so many ways that someone can mess up that you don't even think of, right? So first, I'll show someone this position, and the first time they just go palm up, and that's natural for them. I never even need to tell it to them; they just do it. Someone else, they'll always be here, right? And it may take them like a week or something until they discover that they got to do this, or they really train the habit, right? So you just need to spend a lot of time in the position to develop. So if we're here and the guy gets out, and then now every time he gets out, I have to learn to grip fight. There's so many variables in grip fighting. It's one of the most complicated things in jiu-jitsu to really master. It's a really good grip fight game off your back. So that would be something I would develop later. I would focus rather on why are they losing the double sleeve. If they're a white belt and they're going with another white belt and they keep losing it, that's the issue. So I would say do it like a week or two in the double sleeve, do a week or two in the collar sleeve, do a week or two in the De La Riva, and get those foundational controls working well. And then as those work well, then you can start doing grip fighting. So usually my recommendation is double sleeve, collar sleeve, De La Riva with both the sleeve and the collar. Those are the foundational guards. And then after that is grip fighting, right? And then grip fighting from your back, grip fighting sitting up, and guard retention. Okay. Sorry if I'm taking the questions a little bit out of order, guys. I'm just kind of bouncing around here. Kokoro asked, even when playing in the gi, I found myself going towards a no-gi style game. I'm curious, especially when passing, are there any no-gi only grips that you use that really abuse of the gi? Is there any gi only grips that you use that really abuse the gi? Yeah, I mean, I would say collar sleeve as a position is very functionally different. No, like that, they just can't exist in the no-gi in the same way. I mean, I guess it can. It depends on. Sorry, I guess it can. It just depends on like how you play it. But certainly, like double sleeve and lasso, and that's you can't like. I don't think there's a comparison. I don't think there's a comparison no-gi for this. Like when they're standing. I mean, I guess like put this knee on the floor. Like sometimes, like I know I do no-gi every now and then, and I've had people drive their knee in, and like I'm just kind of blocking here, just like kind of have your hands forward. And I've done like tricep grips like this before, and like you can kind of off balance to the left or try to take overhead, and you can use that stuff and come up for a single leg. So it's not none of the positions like collar sleeve, double sleeve, cross sleeve. Those don't like the full system won't function the same. But there's certainly patterns within them that you can use, right? Even with like collar sleeve and like the knee shield and the keymaster, you won't necessarily use that the same way. So for example, just go yeah. So like if I'm playing collar sleeve here like this, and I'm trying to attack the triangle and stuff, like have your left knee in, kind of like yeah, exactly, we cut him and stuff. Like this kind of stuff here where I pull the guy this way to like keymaster and start going underneath and that kind of stuff. I do that all the time from the collar sleeve system, but it you can easily be doing that no-gi is what you have to like right. Yeah, sorry, this left knee is acting up. Yeah, so like I can be here, like this no-gi can work as well, and I'm doing stuff like this, and I could shoot a triangle there. You have to come on. Let's do that. Sorry. Okay. So like yeah, like I can be like here doing stuff like this, right? And then I can still kind of off balance, come up to a single leg, reverse the Lahiva. So you can still use a lot of those positions. But again, the whole system won't connect together in the same way, but some of the movements will still work. Yeah, it would be awesome to come visit again, for sure, Jester. Especially when my brother visits, we'll come up to Westeros. Pick it out. So you can still use a lot of those positions. But again, the whole system won't connect together in the same way, but some of the movements will still work. Yeah, it would be awesome to come again, for sure, Jester. Especially when my brother visits, we'll come up to Westeros. Okay, Dave Dennis said, if you're looking to get a matrix, what can you do if they're aggressively gripping your legs? Where are you doing the matrix from, Dave Dennis? Because it matters, like, how you're setting it up is going to change drastically, like, what defenses they could be doing. Okay, Dave Dennis said, if you're looking to get a matrix, what can you do if they're aggressively... in the meantime, I'll answer Michael's question. How do you defend the Berimbolo when your butt's to the ground? Actually, I'll get to that in a second since you already answered. From De La Hiva. Okay. How are you? What grips do you have in De La Hiva? Because traditionally, setting up the matrix from De La Hiva would be a less common setup. Do you have like underhook De La Hiva, or you're just holding the ankle? Because it's not really like a normal way to be setting up the matrix. Like where's your left hand? Is it on the pant leg, on the ankle? Where's your right hand? How are you? What grips do you have in De La Hiva? Because traditionally, setting up the matrix from De La Hiva would be a less common setup. Do you have like underhook De La Hiva? Okay. So from like crossguard kind of. Okay, yeah. So if he's holding my right pant leg, you can't matrix. I mean, it'd be hard. So like if I'm here like this, and he's holding this pant leg, I would not be looking for the matrix. I would either use the heel and the armpit to try to bring him forward, and then I could go omoplata, or I could butterfly hook. A lot of times if they have the pant leg, I'll just butterfly hook and pop under, and then now I can start pushing. I do that stuff a lot, right? Go back up. So that's just, you can't take what you want, you have to take what they give you. So if I'm here and I start trying to bump out like this, and now he puts his hand forward, right? And then I go here, I do this, maybe I can attack him and stuff. He comes back up to standing, right? And then I go here, and now I postures. Now I can start hitting really easy, right? So I would say in general, if he's just like death gripping that other leg, then just butterfly hook and go under. I don't think you can force the matrix. Or if you threaten the omoplata, he might like go to post his hand or to deadlift, and then you can throw it. No Busan 4. Do you like the crossguard? Yeah, I use it all the time. Yeah, in the crossguard, like I just showed there, I use it in cross sleeve De La Hiva. Realistically, I think a lot of people are comparing guards. Like they're like, oh, should I do collar sleeve or should I do double sleeve? Like, which choice should I make? Like, it's like this big decision. You need to play all the guards, like, because there's just so many times that the one you want will not be available. If you build your game like, oh, I'm a collar sleeve guy, you're going to fight, and then the guy's going to have his sleeves away, and you can't build, right? Or you're going to have a sleeve, and then the guy moves in a certain way, and grabbing the cross sleeve just opens things up. So the more guards you know, the easier and the smoother your jiu-jitsu is going to be. The more you try to go, oh, my game is this. My game is deep lasso. I do deep lasso. You're just going to have a really hard time because you're always going into the match trying to get something. When I go into a match, when I'm playing guard, I'm not thinking about anything. Like, I'm just taking what he's giving me, right? As soon as I have an idea of what I want to do, this is really common when you develop some new attack series. You get really excited about it. Maybe you have a training partner in the gym who's difficult, and you come up with some new attack series and it's working great on them, and you're super excited about it. And then you go train with someone else who's like generally less good than that person. You'll try it and it'll be really hard to do because they're not giving you the same response to set it up. So if I go into a match and my brother's on top and I'm playing guard and I'm in my head like, oh, I'm going to do this whole, collar sleeve system on him, and he's just postured, he keeps leaning forwards, right? And I keep chasing it, and like I'm letting, it would just be way easier to just grab the knee and start threatening the De La Riva guard. And now I'm looking for this, and now maybe he messes with this leg. I'm like, okay, now I'll break here. I can knock him backwards, maybe he pushes the hook out and steps forward, right? And now I'm on the hip, right? So now this goes here, I'm attacking here. I would like to go for the triangle, but he pulls his elbow really tight to his hip. Fine, now I start setting up the hook on this side. You see, I don't know what he's going to do. You can't look ahead in jiu-jitsu in that sense. People are always thinking that you're looking ahead. You want to be prepared ahead, meaning that you know what to do if he does different things. That's like preparing and studying so you know the positions well. But I can't look ahead during a match. I have no idea what he's going to do. I could start to put an omoplata on, then he can do a front flip. So you have to go with the flow and don't try to force things. So, yeah, I use the cross grip. I use every grip. Yeah.
Meaning that you know what to do if he does different things. That's like preparing and studying so you know the positions well.
Yeah, Jose Alvarez asked, I saw an Insta story with you playing collar sleeve. You have foot on hip. He had a tight elbow, but you pulled his elbow to the center of your chest and then shot the omoplata. Can you describe it? Yeah, sure. So what happened was I had the foot on the hip here, like this. And then I'm pulling on this collar, and yeah, he's exactly, he has his elbow tight, so I kind of pull him in. And then even though his elbow is really tight, if I lift my hip quick, I can often get my hip, it's kind of hard to see stuff that way a little bit. Yeah, right. I can often get my hip above his elbow here, and now he can't pull his elbow back. It's stuck, right? So then, a lot of times I'll shoot a triangle, but if he's holding the pant, like, I'll just turn it there, and then I come over, and now I can, I'll go here. And then now I can start chasing the omoplata, and usually they'll posture here, right? And then I can start chasing. Right? So it's just lifting that hip up, okay? But again, you have to take what they give you, right? So go up. So if I'm here like this, and he's got his elbow really tight, and the elbow kind of wedges my leg out, here I'd probably start going for the De La Riva hook. And then there the omoplata's open, right? But some people, they keep their right toes pointed more outward and they don't expose the De La Riva hook there. So then like here, I pull and I lift my hip. See? And once that hip's in, he can't pull the elbow back. See? And then that turns into an omoplata. And if he wasn't grabbing the right leg, I would just snap the triangle there immediately. But I think that's the one you were referring to. Yeah, that detail is like gold. Yeah, you'll wreck people with it. Because even if their elbow's super tight, you can go for it. Again, the main thing is like you have to pay attention to what they're giving you, not what you want. So a lot of guys, they'll just kind of, when you put your foot there, the way they respond, they put the De La Riva hook in. You have to take the De La Riva hook, right? So go up. So like at my gym, people are pretty sharp to the De La Riva hook, so they'll often keep their knee a little bit wider. And I think that if I set my foot exactly, they're like this. So that's much easier to pull in. But if he angles his knee in a lot like this, right, and he starts trying to like kind of go, see now, even if my leg was on the inside, he can't turn your angle your knee in a bunch. Yeah. Like, yeah, he starts doing like, it just becomes really hard. But then I set this hook super deep. And now he's either going to fall back and I can bolo, or usually, keep your elbow tight, usually when I extend, that opens this for the omoplata. And then now I can start going. See, now, even if my leg was on the inside, you can't turn your angle your knee in a bunch. Like, yeah, he starts doing like, it just becomes really hard. But then Tintin asks, hey, John, do you have any advice to pass someone's guard who is larger than you, and it's difficult to break their grips? So again, this is a very common answer I say for a lot of questions like that. Everything is case dependent, right? So there's no... Like you say, okay, he's got strong grips and he's playing guard, but like he could be playing worm guard, he could be playing spider guard, he could be playing collar sleeve, he could be playing deep lasso. And the answer for every single one of those situations is like completely different. So there is no broad general thing I could tell you that's going to answer that problem. You need to actually analyze the person. The best thing I can tell you is whoever you're rolling with that's larger than you, that's giving you a hard time, forget the fact that they're larger and just pay attention to exactly the position they're in when the problem happens. And your first goal is to literally identify what is the position that's causing the problem? Like, okay, does he have a deep lasso? Where are both hands? Does he have a sleeve and a collar? Does he have both sleeves? Identify the exact position and then start seeking out exact answers for that, right? And if you give me an exact question, I can give you an exact answer. But that question is almost analogous. Like if you said, I'm playing chess against someone who's good at chess, or they're like, like they have a high IQ. I guess that would be like the equivalency of being big or strong in jiu-jitsu. So like I'm playing someone and they keep making good moves. How do I beat them? Right? It's so broad. Like you could say, okay, well, if they did this opening in this situation, maybe you could do this. But you have to be very specific. So if you're not specific with your questions, then the first thing you need to do is actually identify the exact situation that's causing your problem. Are you all about the bolo life after visiting Espen and Tommy? Yeah, I love adding the bolo in a lot. I learned a ton training with them on it, and also when Nick Sals and Daniel Myra were visiting me, I learned a ton from them on it. But I think the big thing for me, the reason I didn't want to do it as much before was I felt like I didn't want to end up in a position where if I was competing, that if I go for a bolo on someone who's also a bolo person, that I'm kind of entering into their game. So it might be a weakness. But after training with them, I kind of realized like, even if you're fighting someone who's like a bolo master, if you get the right position on them and you set it up from your open guard, you have the advantage. It's like, even if you're going with Mendez and you start in the full Baron Bolo and you do it well, even if you can't finish it, it's hard for them to reverse it if you do it well. So after training with them a lot, yeah, I have a lot more excitement for doing the position. As well as like not having a good bolo or a good matrix is a huge hole in your game because all these systems, they're built off of multiple attacks, right? So just to use an example like closed guard, if you try to build a good closed guard system and like you leave out, the armbar, like you never do armbar, or no, say the triangle trick, you never do triangle tricks, and he puts both hands on the floor. Here, doing an armbar is really hard, but I can push his wrist out and go for a triangle choke pretty easily, right? So if I never had the triangle choke as an option, the entire system I build for my guard and all the ways he's going to respond are going to be built around the fact that the triangle is not a possibility. So it makes the entire way my guard system works completely different by missing that hole, right? So when you're developing an open guard, if you don't have a bolo or a matrix threat, then your whole system will be built around certain positions like you don't have an answer. But if you add that in, then all of a sudden, like take the cross guard, for example. If you don't have the matrix threat, right? If I'm here and I don't have the matrix threat, well, then when he deadlifts, I'm like, crap, this position doesn't work, right? But as soon as you have the matrix threat, right, and I'm here, now all of a sudden this is a very valid position to play, right? So by not having a bolo or a matrix or some of those major finishing tools, I think it limits a lot of the rest of your game. And I would say I would put bolo and matrix finishing skill sets and crab ride finishing skill sets like on par with like having a good triangle choke or a good armbar. Because like you can play all these different guards, but those are powerful finishing mechanics. A triangle choke will finish the match. A good Baron Bolo will take the back, which is almost like finishing the match. A good Matrix and Crab Ride will also take the back. So you really want to invest in having strong finishing and mechanics in those, and it's going to make all of your other guards make sense because you have those tools. Let's see here. Sorry for asking confusing question about gi versus no gi grips. I was asking if there are any gi only guard passing grips that you use that are strictly better than similar no gi passing grips. That question is actually a little bit more than the first one. The first one was actually pretty easy. Is there? Yeah, I mean, Toreando grips can be quite a bit different for sure. Because you don't have the pants. I mean, lapel grips for sure. Like grabbing the lapel and pulling in tight is really nice because when I'm passing, like if I'm here, I kind of want to get really tight to him quick with my upper body. So if there's no gi, I have to go for like an underhook, but like that's really hard. Like if the guy doesn't know what he's doing, you can get those deep underhooks, but when the guy's like really moving his hand, like getting a deep underhook here is hard. But if I'm here, I can pull this lapel in quick. And now even if he tries to fall all the way back to play guard, like I'm staying tight. See, he can't get his upper body away from me. He can fall back, but now I'm still in tight. So I would say just those lapel grips are super powerful for pulling someone in and using. So yeah, that's probably a big one. Since you're in Kentucky, will you please come by Sean Williams next week in Nashville? Oh man, I would love to, but this trip's really hard. It's a fast trip.
Well, that's where I live. I was just gonna say I live in Nashville.
Oh,
So
oh yeah. Okay,
yeah,
Sean, yeah.
I talked to him at the recent tournament.
Sean Hammonds or Sean Williams?
Sean Williams.
Sean Hammonds is in Nashville too, right?
Oh, I guess maybe they both are. Which one's the blonde Sean?
That's Sean Hammonds.
Okay, so I talked to Sean Hammonds recently.
Yeah, okay. Sean Williams, I thought he was in California or something.
I don't know. I guess they could tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, fill us in on that. Hey, what's up, Andy? How do you set up the Keymaster, or do you wait for it to be available? Yeah, defining what is the Keymaster guard is a little bit confusing in general. So go up. So I guess we'll do it on the right side. Okay, right leg. Yeah. So to me, like classically, when you think of the Keymaster, just kind of be like on your one knee, like you're almost half headed. Like, yeah, put your hand on the here, like this. No, okay, just get up. Okay. So like here. Okay. So this kind of a position here is classically what you think of when you think of the Keymaster. This foot's kind of like hooked here, like this. But in reality, like as we just saw, there's a lot of different ways the guy on top can kind of be. So I can't really force him to this. If he's here and he wants to do like this, or like be like, he can kind of respond how he wants. So when I think of the Keymaster, it's just something that kind of occurs. So like if I was playing like this or something, and then this was like out here, and he comes in with your right leg, yeah, like this kind of happens a lot. And so this to me is Keymaster. It's almost like knee shield with the bottom leg not trapped, right? And if he tries to grab this, often it can grab the sleeve and control, right? And I'm just kind of building from here. And a lot of times from here, I can kind of off balance that way. I can use this to set the sleeve. I use it to set up collar sleeve a lot. And now I'm trying to go for the triangle. It's hard to force. They kind of have to like put you in the position almost. So I would say if you want to play it, try to focus on this knee shield and this leg up a lot. Another way to think about it as well is you go ahead and right leg lead. If my leg is on the outside, I'm thinking like a De La Riva hook. If his knee is turned really open, then the De La Riva hook is hard, but then I can kind of get this inside position here, like this, and that's kind of like a Keymaster. The Keymaster hook is almost like an X-Guard hook, it's just that I'm not underneath him, like this, right? So when I'm here like this kind of functions as a good control. If he tries to grab this, I can usually get his sleeve and use this to switch up. And now I'm playing collar, sleeve, foot on hip. And then if he was to say, be here and kind of like drive his weight into me in some way or something, like I could start lifting and moving him. And now I'm in like an ankle lock here, stuff like that. So if you start trying to play collar, sleeve with your foot on the hip, I think you'll feel the position start naturally coming to you a lot. Will you ever do a deep dive on the lapel open guard systems, or is the lapel system too slow for you? Cobra Kai, yeah. I probably will at some point, but it's kind of not my focus. It's not what I'm super excited about in my open guard game. And plus, there's so much content from Keenan and Andres and like Margot does stuff. There's a lot of other people doing it. So right now, it's kind of like crab ride and bolo. Like, I feel like I have a pretty good knowledge in it now, but I don't feel like I'm where I would want to be to actually release something on it. So I would recommend people to something else, and I'll show stuff on my channel. But as far as like, I'll probably do some kind of a dive on it. But like the lapel stuff, I feel like for me, I like a very fast-paced open guard. And for sure, you can be very fast-paced, and there's cool things you can do mixing the classic open guards with the lapel stuff. But I find when I'm fighting someone way bigger, the more they know with those lapel systems, they can lock you in and get really heavy, and it just gets very stifled. I like to keep the guy's weight off me and move and go for like omoplatas, matrix, bolos, submissions, sweeps, and I just like to move. So for me, it's less exciting. And then plus just like to get to the point I would want to be to show that, it's a bit far away. So I probably will eventually, but probably not anytime soon. When you get old in BJJ, age 40 plus, what do you think your BJJ will be like? How will it be different from now?
Awesome question.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I try to build my game right now in a way that I feel like I could do when I'm 40 plus. Um, so, uh, the matrix doesn't really require any neck flexibility. It's pretty easy to do. In that sense, like bolos, if you do it right, I don't really feel like you require much neck flexibility. It doesn't bother me much. I think the main difference just being older is just how much you recover and the balance between hard training and like technical training. So for me, my main ways of developing technically are the resistance drilling, like the sweep and pass game I talked about before, and specific training because I can kind of control it. I can be careful not to get injured, and I can get high volume. To really get intensity, I like Shark Tank. So like you're in for 5 minutes with the class or the group going through trying to kill you, right? So everyone has a different volume of how much they can train. Some people are on steroids and they recover instantly and they can do twice a day every day. Some people are naturally very genetically gifted and their body recovers really fast. Some people don't. And that's why it's hard when people talk about what's the best training format and they talk about how much you should train. It's very relative. It's hard for people to say this is what you should do. For me, I get injured very easily. So I find like 3 times a week some form of really hard training. And then the rest I'm trying to get volume, right? So by volume, what I mean is like, I always use the analogy of like the matrix. I want to get as close to the matrix as I can, where I download all the information and the patterns into my body without doing like damage to my body physically, right? So by doing like specific training and the resistance drilling, I can train sometimes for 2 consecutive hours and get 2 hours worth of pattern recognition development, right? Whereas if I do like hard Shark Tank, I can maybe do like, where I'm in, like, it's probably like an hour of training, but I'm in for like 15 to 20 minutes or something with like hard 5 minutes around people trying to kill me. But if you're doing, it's analogous to like if you're running, right? Like if I told you to run for an hour at like a slow aerobic pace, you could do that for an hour. But if I tell you to sprint as hard as you can, you probably can't even do that 1 minute. And you'll probably be more tired after that 1 minute at 100% full pace than you will be after an hour at like a really slow aerobic pace, right? So I'm looking to get high volume all the time. And when I can, and I'm not injured, high intensity to sharpen for tournaments and intensity. I would say as I get older, the amount of high intensity will drop and the volume will increase based off of how much I can recover. Bob Bennett said, please check out my question below.
Somebody said TNT guard.
TRT guard, maybe? I don't know. Where?
They said when I get older.
Yeah, TRT guard. Yeah, that's the one. That's testosterone replacement therapy.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
got it. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah. Okay, Bob, I'm looking for your question. Bob Bennett, where? Bob, where's your question? TRT guard, maybe? I don't know. Where? Oh, I didn't see Pender's question. I need to talk to him too. Bob, I don't see your question. Can you restate it? And then I'm gonna enter. Answer Pender's question. Can't wait to train with you tomorrow. Yeah, I'm excited to see you, bud. Do you have a go-to grip sequence when passing the seated guard? Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of different ways to deal with it. So you can kind of develop what I would call like, either one's fine. You can kind of develop what I call like, this sounds negative, but like gimmick passes, like a cartwheel or something like that, but just structurally be very sound. I think the best way to understand open guard passing is to start, come close and land your back, is to understand how to approach someone who's on their back and all the different leg positions. Like they can be centered, their legs can be high, low, their legs can be wide, they can be side tilted left, side tilted right. When they're side tilted, they can be like knee shielded, they can have their leg wide. Yeah, they can have their leg wide, and understand all this really well. Because if you understand all that really well, then when they're sitting up, it's just about trying to get them to their back. And one thing I do a lot is I like to grab like their hand or their wrist, and I just step in and kind of push them back like that. It's surprisingly effective. So you just hear like that, and you start walking in, and it kind of pushes their hands in. And as you get closer, if they try to sit up, it's just weird here because now I'm starting to come in on a cut. So I just kind of threaten that a lot and try to get them to their back. I like that a lot more than trying to pull their feet up. That doesn't really work if they're good. So I'm here like this. I just kind of crowd. If he stays up, I'll start knee cutting. If he's got one hand on the floor, I like to kind of grab his wrist and his tricep and pull and step around to the side of it. And now it's very hard for him so exactly, he'll usually fall to his back. And then now I can come in and start kind of to set up my passes. So I usually try to work them to their back. Another one you can do is, when they're sitting up, I can try to grab the lapel and then just kind of drive in with my head and pull him really tight so he can't get his chest away. And now I can start trying to get chest to chest as well. No, I didn't answer the bolo defense question. I'll get back to that. Actually, I'll do the bolo defense question now. So once the guy gets your hip on the floor, it's pretty bad. There's also layers to that as well. Let's see, what do we do on this side? Okay, so so just start. Let's see, you're there, I'm in there. So grab the ankle. You got that. That's you're doing reverse. Yeah. Okay, so big thing here, and again, there's different layers of how deep we are. Just go to your butt again. Okay, so if I just got knocked over here and you have this hook in, I certainly want to control this top leg that's trying to invert and pull it back this way. So you start inverting again. Yeah. So you see how I'm like pressing this way here like this because I want to prevent him from inverting. Right. So if I do this here and I start inverting, it's much harder to invert. And even if he does here, it's very difficult for him to finish the back take when I have this. What I don't want, is for him. I don't want for him to get his shin over my thigh. If he gets this here and grabs my hip, now he starts inverting. This is really bad. That's when the bolo is going to be really bad, right? So I'm always trying to protect that. So if I somehow got knocked over, it depends on how we're getting at you. If I somehow got knocked over, as I'm getting knocked over, I want to defend this, right? If I have to post my hand, I might post my hand and then try to push that out and come back. But it's hard. So yeah, if I was here like this, I would try to be pushing that leg to the floor. If he started to invert, start inverting.
It's really hard with that.
Here like this, I would be trying to thread this foot through, like underneath, to try to kick him off and kick my leg out like that. But the big thing is controlling that top leg and trying to pull it back. Okay, Nobu-san retracted his question. We don't know what it was. Robin Huang, hello, sir. Can I call you today if you're not busy? Yes, you can, Robin. Did you answer the bolo question? The last knee cut to knee chest knee cut is death for Cedar guard. Yeah, it's really powerful. John Park, any tips for playing guard against much larger, let's say, one double and rounder dudes who pass on both knees, and it's very stally. Yeah, I mean, when they're on both knees, I like the collar sleeve with the foot on the hip, threatening the loop choke and the triangle omoplata. I actually did a video on that. I think it's like the best guard versus stalling opponent, and I go through that whole series. It's like Mergali used it to submit a couple of really big guys who play on both knees. So check that YouTube video out. Again, I think it's called the best guard versus stalling opponent. It's on my YouTube channel. What do you do if a big cross face you in close guard? I have tried shucking his arm to get back mount with no success. So I feel like I wouldn't let them. I mean, if someone's trying to like cross face you while you're in close guard, they're probably pretty inexperienced. But that happens sometimes, and it can be very annoying if the guy's really big and he's just trying to like club you. So I think if I was fighting someone like that, I would just be trying to frame them off. Like a lot of times, like if I'm fighting someone who's like spazzy and big and I'm way more advanced than them, but I'm in close guard, I'm almost going to open guard. So like I wouldn't, like he's trying to cross face, I would be blocking this early. If I let someone who's like giant get in here and do this, they're not going to do anything, but it's annoying. Right? I would probably try to get my forearm here and like frame the neck, try to get my forearm here in the armpit and start working, and then try to get my knee shield and push them off and start trying to get away. It just feels tough to be in that position. Left leg on top of their right. Put your right knee in their right hip. Grab their far knee with your left hand.
Oh, that was US to define something earlier, right?
Do the counter when they invert. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Jesper. Do you have any advice on preventing the stack opponent cutting the corner and passing when going for a triangle, especially? Yeah, keep yourself far away. That's a big one. Like
most every guard in general, like, yeah, when I set the position, if I'm far away when I hit it, it's way harder for them to dump through. Like if he's close to me, and I set a triangle while he's close, when he goes here, I get dumped, right? So when I finish a triangle, I always want to try to get away and get distance. So in the process of setting it up, you need to know where and how you're setting it up, so you know whether or not that's a risk, right? So if I was like here and he was really close to me with his both knees get really close, right? And this guy was big, I know if I shot here, he might shuck me over, okay? But if I got my foot on the hip and I kind of wiggled out a little bit and I got here and I hit like this, now my hips are so far away, it's hard for him to wiggle around that, right? So whatever guard setup you're doing to do it, the further away your hips are, the easier it's going to be to get the finish. The bolo counter. Okay, so you're asking if in the bolo counter, left leg on top of their right, but your right knee is their right. Grab their far gi with your left. Jesper, I'm really confused. I'm sorry, but I asked if you always play double sleeve in a competitive role or competition, or do you favor cross? Okay, Bob Bennett. Again, you just kind of have to take what they give you. I guess when I'm competing, if I get double sleeve, usually it depends on the opponent. Usually, it was an answer. Okay, sorry. If I'm competing and I get double sleeve, usually I feel pretty safe there. Just the way I play double sleeve is pretty uncommon, and a lot of people that I train with at a very high level have not been in a double sleeve like that, so it often works well. But it's not so much that I'm like, oh, I'm going to put this guy in double sleeve and then I'm going to do it. It's just that I train and I use double sleeve a lot when I train, and I'm very good at it and I feel very comfortable at it. So when I'm fighting, I do tend to end up there. And then when I'm there, I play it a lot and I feel safe, but I'm not necessarily actively looking for it. If I'm fighting and I'm trying to play my double sleeve and I can't find an attack, I'll switch up to collar sleeve. Or if I get the sleeve and the guy won't give me the second sleeve, I'll play collar sleeve. So I'm kind of mixing everything together. So it's not so much that I'm like trying to force one. I'll just play whatever, and that's just going to depend on the guy you're fighting. Even if my double sleeve is is better than my collar sleeve, versus that guy, he may be better at passing double sleeve than collar sleeve. So against that guy, collar sleeve feels better, So the more you try to chase and force a guard, the more you usually get out of position. So you just got to take what comes. And usually your favorite positions you'll naturally find them, What is your favorite preferred gi guard pass technique? So it's kind of hard to say because you kind of need them all. You can't like pick one and always do that. But just stylistically, right now, I always kind of like the Toreando just because I think aesthetically it looks really pretty. It's really effective. And it's fun to do. So I would say Toreando, but not necessarily because it's like the best one. You need all of them. It's just that stylistically I like it a lot. And the jump pass I've been doing a lot recently. Although there's not many situations you can do that. It's very specific, but it's fun. I always kind of like the Toreando just because I think aesthetically it looks really pretty. Yeah, John Park, can you please give some advice on bringing people forward with a foot under butt when playing double sleeve guard? Yeah, go on. It's just that stylistically I like it a lot. So, and the jump pass I've been doing a lot recently. Right. So when I'm here, usually I have like a lasso spider or something. I unlasso, I go foot in bicep, and then I kick and break in between here. So now I'm going to take my right foot under his tailbone, and I kind of pull my elbows up high as I kind of take my right leg, and I just kind of pull it to my chest, and I kick up, right? So that'll start bringing him forward. As he walks, I usually bring my elbows in to clip out his shins. So as I bring him forward, as he walks, I usually try to clip his shins out with my elbow here. And then if he has the momentum walking forward when I'm here, push it out a little more. Yeah, like this. There, that'll clip, and then he'll start flipping overhead, right? So it's not like I'm loading him on me and lifting him. I'm just making him walk, and then I'm just tripping him with my elbows, right? Now, you can't always get that. It just depends on how the guy stands. Joe's like pretty straight leg, which is pretty common. So sometimes you can't get that. And when that happens, I'll do it on the other side. When that happens, I just switch to this position with the elbow and knee tight, and I lock here. Now I can try to flip overhead that way, start trying to take him backwards, start building there, and stuff like that. But I use that foot under the tailbone a lot. If they're really far away, sometimes I'll tap the floor. Usually, if they're close, I always leave the foot up first, because if you go straight to the floor, sometimes they step over. Here?
Yeah, they just try to step over, right? So whenever I kick, I always stay up first because now if they try to step over, I can flick it and then get the overhead sweep, right?
But I use that foot under the tailbone a lot.
So I break, right? But then if he's far away, then I can't move him with this foot. So I'll just tap the floor and pull, and then I use my knee to kind of pull in, and I get this underneath position, and I can start pulling out there. Cool.
Bob, I think did I answer your question? I asked if you always play double sleeve in competition. Well, yeah, I think I answered it, right?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. John, do you feel the foot under is viable for much larger opponents? I feel like I don't have enough strength in my leg. Yeah, I mean, I have super weak legs, and I've done it to like people who are 250 pounds plus. It works super good. It's just about finding the right timing, right? So that's the hard thing. Sometimes when you're learning a technique, you're like, well, maybe it's just not going to work well versus someone big. So how do I know if I'm doing it right? So you have to have people that you trust to tell you that it does work. You just have to figure it out, right? So I can give you guarantee this one will work very good versus much heavier people. You just have to have the right timing and know the right situation. You can't always do it too, right? Like sometimes the positioning is not right to be able to do it. So try to play with it, but you should definitely be able to hit it on a lot of big people if the situation is correct, because I've done it to a lot of big people. Yeah, it's like tipping over a skyscraper. All right, guys, let's do one more question, and then I'm going to head upstairs, and I can let my dad finally go do whatever he needed to do. Would you think about attacking from top half guard or pass first and then start attacking from side control mount? Both are valid. I just take what they give me. So a lot of times I'm trying to pass from top of half guard, and even half guard, we call it half guard, but there's a lot of variations. You know, you could be a deep half, you could have the single leg with the lapel, you could have the single leg with the belt. You know, there's a lot of variations with that. But there's, sometimes I go for that shoulder lock or that arm bar immediately because they expose it. Sometimes I can't and I go for the knee cut. So I would say both are valid. Just take what they give you. Okay, and then I'll answer Bob Bennett's question as well. In competition or a competitive role, do you always play double sleeve if your opponent makes it available, or do you favor cross sleeve and collar? Bob, I actually answered that question earlier. I don't know. Yeah, Joe, can you do that?
I don't have anything down here.
All right. Joe does not have any magic with him right now. There's no magic.
There is no magic.
Sorry, Jester. Bob, yeah, I definitely answered that question earlier. So I don't know if maybe you stepped out for a second, but if you go back, you should be able to find that in the chat stream. Okay, guys. So sorry I didn't get to answer everyone's question, but I'm happy to see everyone. Everyone in there. And then, leave your comments. I'll look at the questions. And a lot of times the question you guys ask, even if I didn't get to answer them in this one, it gives me ideas for future content as well. So I'll probably make some videos on like favorite lasso guard sweep, for example. Also, I'm going to be trying to start a Thinkific site soon. So I'm going to start with free content on there. But the struggle I have sometimes with YouTube is like the balance between trying to make videos that the algorithm will actually promote so I get views, and making videos that are labeled in a way that's beneficial for you guys to find. So for example, if I did a video on like how to play collar sleeve versus an opponent who left leg leads or something like that, that video won't do well because of the algorithm and the titling, but I know it's very useful for people who are very serious. So I'm always juggling the titling for efficiency for you guys and also not getting my videos completely hidden by YouTube because it doesn't promote with the algorithm. So I'm going to start a separate site for Thinkific where I can do more organized content with like lesson plans and chapters and stuff. And then I'll have stuff for free on there. And then I'll also have some like paid products if you guys want to buy that as well. But I'll have a lot of free content there as well. So I'm going to try to mix in that along with the YouTube content and stuff in the future. Okay, guys? All right. Thanks a lot.
So I'm going to start a separate site for Thinkific where I can do more organized content with like lesson plans.
Which one is